how to extend my line without putting strength into it. That was the same topic we had. So we might have leverage line, but if I'm being hard on it, arrow to activate and try to stop me, I am going nowhere.
Yeah.
Because there is a commitment of energy that I want to drive.
Right.
So again, I put gunpowder into release, and the commitment allows him a handle to fuck my way. Extend, for me, that word, that keyword is not associated with any strength. Any words that deals with strength. My frame has strength, so my strength's already here, right? I'm just extending. So when the arrow activates, there. You're like a giant boulder, like hard eggshell. I gotta crack a little bit here. Start disassembling you a little bit.
Yeah.
I can't just run you down. There's no way I'm gonna bounce back. So each of these extensions are just disassembling a screw here, disassembling a screw here. I'm observing any mistakes you make. Once I see either an energy change or a line cross, that's my time to take a bigger bite of the apple. Trying to ramp and put energy is hard. He got me. He's a bigger man. And when I pass through the source of problem, right? Again, it's just extension. I'm not trying to add a commitment to it, because the moment I try to extend and put a commitment, he could already fight back on me. So again, from an attack perspective, right? I could open the door, right? But also from a defensive perspective, I'm back to my shield. Like whoa, boom, right there. It's a hard jab. That's hard jab, right? But more is like right there, right?
Yeah, that cuts through.
That extending, when I put my posture, energy, there's energy here. I have to extend. I don't need to add straight to the shot. I could tear the collusion, the sound collusion, versus just extending right there.
I can't. That gets through every time. So if you give me the strong one, I got that.
Right. And
but the other one,
right there. Right. And so I give you strength, right? This is strength, right? This is strength, right? This is always going to be underprepared. When you see a shot this, you don't sense a threat, right? So you're not bracing for a shot. Boom, you're dead. And you take the full impact. But if I were like, you're bracing, right? You're preparing, you could get clipped, right? So even if I do clip you, you can kind of absorb that, right? I don't want your armor to be activated. I want you to eat the entire impact of your soul.
How do you respond to? How do you relate it tactically, though? Like, that's a self-defense situation. But if we're like both here,
activate my energy, because if I activate, he could kind of fuck with mass. I know that. That's part one of the branches that could happen, right? So I will be in a more relaxed state, but I wouldn't activate my defense. So if he impacts me, I wouldn't be able to be bracing that. So if he decides to hit me right here, boom, I'm like, fuck, I'm gonna eat everything. I was underprepared for the shot. There's two paths. Path A is I'm throwing the line from 0 to 100, a full commitment of line. So even this is putting aside the energy, the extension we talked about. This is just the way I travel, right? So if you have a guard, right, and it goes 0 to 100, it's like this, right? I could get bumped on the way, right? But what I'm doing is I set checkpoints. I go 50, then then I complete the 100. So the advantage of that is if at 50, if I encounter obstruction, I could roll back to 0. I could go back to my Wu Sao, my defensive line, and do my changes. I could still do that. If I commit to the 0 100 and get caught, it's too late. My brain, I cannot process and change my line to deflect, right? And secondly, I just feel if I shoot from 50 yard out, I got such a nice short burst. If I throw it here, there's a diminishing return, like strength and shit, right? The rock, the fucking Angry Birds start fucking falling, right? But here, if I go here, boom! I got so much compression power from 50 to 100, that 50 yard. Why don't I take advantage of that? Going back to, in punch or whatever, that short distance burst, right? I can execute that from 50 out all the time. And this, again, threat is not threatening, just putting 50 yard, boom, right there, right? But if I were to throw some 0 100, you felt the crash, I gave him my story. So, time back to rolling, right? When I roll, I'm snapping into my 50, right? I'm snapping to my 50 with the potential to go 100 in the release. I'm not going from 0 100, 0 100. He can caught me all the time. I snap to my checkpoint. Whoa! If he's strong, I could, do whatever, right? Whoa, right? I could still flex. I could still.
But
change.
you snap to each position. You don't just roll. You like here.
Well, Yeah, so I don't want to feel too much the process of morphing from this position to this position.
Yeah.
Right? I just want it from this position, snap in that position. The quick snap is the acceleration that will create energy, free energy.
Okay, because the power is in the motion.
Here I'm feeling, I'm committing. You can feel all my shit. I told you my story. But if I from here, I snap. There's free power all the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let me see. Because you're not just snapping into the shape. You're snapping into.
I'm snapping into
the frame.
50 yard.
Yeah.
I snap into 50 yard with the potential to extend to 100 yard.
Oh, there's none of that. It's just we're meeting and at the position.
Right. So here's the thing. The 50 yard, now adding a bit more physical aspect to it. The 50 yard is kind of where your humerus and your knees are forming alignment. That's where the strength is.
Okay.
Okay, so if you think about each structural part as a supporting mechanism, right? The hip is closer to my body, so this is more the Wusao line, right? I can flex, like, so you give me energy. When I catch, I'm catching into my hip and down to the ground.
Right.
Okay, so that's how I utilize this component. Now, if my hand was a bit out here, then when you hit, I will catch into the knee, which have the same mark. If you're more stronger than that, then I can use the second gear to catch. So for me, so for me, each joint have a distinct ability.
Yeah.
I don't give multi-purposes for a joint. They have a single instruction, but when they put together, when they synchronize, then they are very durable and flexible. So from here, I can release, right?
Yeah.
But if I were to not use that as a
reference point?
Reference point to index on that more. I just snap into 50 yard, but you see the placement of elbow is still more in the hip range. Now, for me to travel, there's this like big old gap. You feel there's like I don't have the same extension that I should, but if I'm out here, there. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Oh, coming on you. Boom, boom, boom.
When he comes in, that
perfect
loads this up.
Perfect.
Right? So it's like
50 yard, right? You're coming on me. You guys get me into hip line right there.
Yeah.
So again, I'm from here. You put me into the hip position.
Yeah.
That allows me to fire it out. I can't hold this frame anymore, and I gotta utilize the hip to catch.
And then it's about landing in that correct position where your mechanics are in a favorable.
Right. So boom. When I step. So one thing from Ryan, when I observe Ryan, right? You're using the wrong gear for the extension. So I feel like you're still using your hip to try to cross 100 yard, which stretch your line out. You're not firing from 50 yard. Like you're not using. Yeah. So think about this because this is important. Because for me, if I were to drive off my hip and not go through the checkpoint, I just feel I am using muscle.
Yeah.
Because I need something to support that length. And if I'm not using this and this is too far out, it's gotta be muscle to hold it out.
Yeah.
Right. But if I hold to my checkpoint, then I extend. I got so much more frames to support that extension.
Yeah.
And on the receiving end, like if Ariel's trying to crush it, come in on me, right? I'm using my whole body, using my hip. I can't hold 50 yard. I can't catch a 50 yard. So if you come in, I've been stubborn and trying to hold my hip line. I mean, I can't.
Yeah.
There's no way to hold that out. I have to let it collapse. Come in again. So boom, from there. I just give myself the space for parachute.
Yeah.
Right? For the what's that thing when you hit the car and then the
airbag.
The airbag, right? To come in to support me.
Be in a favorable position.
100%.
So if you come in,
boom.
You should have used more your hip.
Yeah.
Then you have a better pop.
Yeah, I was thinking about the bubble.
Yeah. So when I come in, talk to your hip.
Snap that
now you
hip.
can fire that.
Yeah.
Yeah.